So in this segment, we're going to be discussing, BBC allowing more of this CPTPP nonsense to get pushed on live TV. This dude in the Harry Potter frames, he got done dirty as well at the weekend, talking about the coronation. So yeah, that was pretty funny, but we're not covering that today. We're doing some CPTPP nonsense.
The problem is that if you want to fix the NHS, what you need is freedom of movement for workers. And if you want to fix the economy, what you need is to rejoin the single market. And the reality is that
Obviously, we can't rejoin the single market. I'm not going to go through that nightmare again.
Brexit is an extraordinary act of economic and social self-harm that as Barry says, people voted for it. We've got to live with it probably for another 20 years. But it is a constant drag on our ability to thrive as a nation and a people. And until people are able, as political leaders, to accept that they enabled the people to inflict this act of economic self-harm, which is why we are poorer and why we are so unable to access the community of our neighbours, we won't actually be able to move forward.
I would have made the point about we're losing 100 billion a year because of Brexit. I think that's the UK total, 4% GDP, 100 billion pounds. That's the way I would have framed that. But, she's not 100% wrong, apart from the single market stuff. But the NHS is the biggest employer in the UK, and you need freedom of movement because you need expertise to work in the NHS. Most of the jobs there require, academic credentials, or at least medical qualifications. So it don't make sense what we've done here. But, you can train people in Britain, but it takes a long time, and you need a massive concerted effort. You need a massive improvement of things like healthcare, and even then, you're still going to struggle, I think, to fill up all those roles from just people in, that are born here. But yeah, let's listen to what the Joker's got to say.
I just don't accept that premise. I mean, okay. Barry was talking about
It's okay, I'm still right. Fair enough. I reject the premise. Something Tories keep saying.
And he deals with New Zealand and Australia. The Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement that was signed last month.
How much is that going to represent in terms of
significant opportunity? It's many billions, and there have been 70 trade
0.08% on the CPTPP. Australia 0.8%, I think it is. New Zealand 0.02, and that's within margin of error. So not great compared to the 4% we have lost. But go on.
Agreements around, yes, I think the United Kingdom, around the world as well. And I think, actually, the economic woes that we see here are seen in Europe, are seen in North America as well. It's a result of...
The scale difference is huge. The difference between the damage the Americans are seeing and the other kind of European nations are seeing, ours is way worse. I think we're doing the worst out of the OECD countries. I think we're doing worse than sanction-hit Russia.
The COVID pandemic,
because they haven't had Brexit to whatever extent it's harmed the economy or not.
So yeah, they've got nothing. He's got nothing. He's got talking points. That's all he's got. And the other, European countries are doing a lot better than us. And they never went through Brexit. The Americans never left. I guess it would be like New York leaving the USA. In that sense, they haven't, none of that stuff has kind of happened. So the arguments they're making, they're global factors, CPTPP, trade deals that are garbage. It took like 70 trade deals. The vast majority of them were rollovers. The only actual new deals we got would be the deals with Australia and New Zealand, and potentially you can argue the CPTPP, potentially, but they're not. That's not a country. That's an agreement with a group, I think. So they've got absolutely nothing, and it's just stinkers. Like even the BBC host is actually doing their job and calling it out. But the First Lady was right on the vast majority of what she said about the NHS and stuff. But the big mistake she made was about the single market, saying we could rejoin it or whatever. That's nonsense. I've called that out in the past. I'll have to continue to call that out for a long time now, I'm guessing. For us to rejoin the EU in 20 years, I just can't see it. We're going to need a massive amount of reform just on our end, Copenhagen criteria. Then the EU have to accept us, and any member state can just say no. They could de-Gaulle us, basically. And they don't need a reason to do it. They can just say, we don't want you here. See you, chump. That's it. That's all that has to happen. They don't even need a reason, because that's how the veto works. So, swing and a miss from the First Lady, but, pretty good performance overall, I'd say. This dude, I think he's a Tory MP. He's 0-3 there, 0-4 there. He needs to go. His arguments were trash, and I think the whole panel was going to jump on him. So I think this guy's name is Sebastian Payne. I think he works for the FT. We obviously had this lady here who was talking mostly sense. Barry Gardner, who I think he might be maybe a Lexiteer, I'm not sure. But, the panel were about to jump on this geezer. Let's be real here. I bet he got pieced up. But yeah, arguments don't make sense. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.